Tonight on NewsWatch, pleading for Pastor Saeed, how calls for his freedom were heard today before Congress.
Plus, violence in the Central African Republic, the deadly fighting taking place between Muslims and Christians.
And a look at the campaign to save families from oftentimes devastating divorce. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening, I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. The wife of an American pastor imprisoned in Iran has a message for America's top political leaders. Don't forget her husband.
Our John Jessup was there as Naghmeh Abedini made that plea today at a hearing on Capitol Hill. He brings us tonight's top story from Washington.
This hearing focused solely on the plight of Pastor Saeed Abedini, a native-born Iranian who eventually became a naturalized U.S. citizen and has been in prison in Iran for more than a year. Now, for those who aren't as familiar with the story, let me give you a little background. Last summer, he traveled to Iran to help with an orphanage for Iranian kids. While he was there, he was arrested on charges that he was a threat to national security. He was put on trial and then sentenced to an 8-year term in January of this year and has been languishing in prison ever since. His attorneys, along with his wife Naghmeh and their 2 young kids, are pleading for his release. They say his sentence is nothing more than a trumped-up charge, and they believe the real reason he's in prison is because he's a former Muslim who converted to Christianity. Naghmeh said she feels let down by her country, the U.S. government, since Pastor Saeed's release was not a precondition to the recent U.S.-Iranian nuclear deal, and she had sharp words for leaders in the highest level of government.
When I spoke in front of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission in March of this year, I had anticipated that I would battle the Iranian government for my husband's freedom. I never anticipated that I would also have to battle my own government. How strong is our American president? How serious is he about American security? Would he act immediately with firm resolve to protect and to defend?
Naghmeh says she won't give up. As long as her husband is alive, she'll continue to fight for his freedom. Members of Congress also made that pledge, saying they'll hold the administration's feet to the fire and demand proactive action to secure his release. And they want to make sure for anyone who's listening that Saeed Abedini's name will ring out in the halls of Congress and echo loudly around the world. John Jessup, CBN News, reporting on Capitol Hill.
The American Center for Law and Justice represents Pastor Saeed and his family. It says his life is in jeopardy after being beaten and tortured, prevented from taking his medication, and being transferred to a notorious prison with rape and murder convicts. Tonight, our John Jessup is sitting down with Naghmeh Abedini. Make sure you check out that interview on tomorrow's 700 Club and NewsWatch.
The government of Nigeria has been ignoring years of sectarian violence, leading to mass murder in 2 central states. That according to a report released by Human Rights Watch today. The report details cases of victims who have been brutally killed because of their tribal or religious affiliation. More than 3,000 people have died since 2010. Meanwhile, in a video released by Boko Haram, a leader of the organization, boasting of an attack on military bases in a provincial capital and threats to attack the United States. The al-Qaeda-linked group is responsible for many of the thousands of deaths in Nigeria in the last 2 years. And in the Central African Republic, hundreds of people are dead after brutal fighting between Muslims and Christians there. Now the international community is getting involved. Our George Thomas brings us that story.
1,600 French troops are on the streets of the Central African Republic, trying to put an end to clashes between Muslim and Christian fighters. The Red Cross says more than 460 people have died since last Thursday, many of the victims children. 2 French soldiers were also killed when they came under attack during an overnight patrol. The fierce fighting has forced some 20,000 people to take refuge at St. Paul's Church in the capital city, Bangui.
We have the impression that some people want to provoke Christians and Muslims to fight with each other. But we say no to this. We advocate tolerance. respect.
Central African Republic is a landlocked nation surrounded by some of the most dangerous places on earth. CBN News visited the country 2 years ago. Since gaining its independence back in 1960 from the French, the Central African Republic has endured some 11 mutinies, numerous rebellious movements both in the north as well as in the south. And today, it is one of the poorest countries here on the African continent. The government of the Central African Republic, a predominantly Christian country, was overthrown in March by Muslim rebels who looted, raped and killed for months. Despite the presence of French troops who are trying to disarm the militias, there's still plenty of pent-up rage on the streets. Late Tuesday, a mob of young men, reportedly Christians, set fire to a mosque in the capital. The Archbishop is appealing for calm and asking Christians not to carry out revenge attacks against Muslims.
I am asking Christians to seek peace, to seek pardon, and not to enter the cycle of vengeance that will not be good. Justice exists. I invite everyone to stay calm.
Despite having substantial natural resources like gold and diamonds, most people here are poor, and the country has seen little stability in 5 decades. On Monday, the U.S. military agreed to transport African Union peacekeeping troops to the country to try and end months of instability.
And George Thomas joins us now with more. Welcome, George.
Thank you.
George, now the U.S. is getting involved in all of this. What is its role?
Yeah, they started today, in essence, using military aircraft. No boots on the ground, but they're using military aircraft to ferry Burundi troops, African Union peacekeepers, from Uganda into Bangui, the capital city, to try and reinforce the efforts on the ground to try and stop the bloodshed.
Now, the French do have boots on the ground. How effective are they in quelling the violence?
Yeah, Mark, they have about 1,600 soldiers patrolling the streets of Bangui. Today, they marched out to some of the outlying areas outside of the capital city. They've made a huge difference. Look, their role, in essence, is trying to disarm these two fighting groups, the Muslim militia as well as the Christian groups. They're trying to get their weapons. And in fact, I saw some pictures. It reminded me eerily of Rwanda, machetes, different weapons, stones, sticks, sharp objects. I mean, it was really crude in some ways, but again, you get a sense of the magnitude of the situation.
And you also get a sense of anarchy, basically, on the streets, right?
Yeah, about 400,000 people have been displaced since last year. In just the last 3-4 days, close to 110,000 people living in bushes. In some cases, in one particular church in Bangui, 20,000 people are seeking refuge at a church. And so the situation gets dire each day as you go along. Lack of food, lack of water, and just the conditions in the city.
Central African Republic is majority Christian, correct?
Yeah.
How are the Christians responding?
Look, you have a tough situation because since early this March, when the rebel group marched onto the capital city and removed, in essence, a sitting government, they went on a looting rampage, raping and killing. And the Christians were saying this is enough. And they have now, in essence, started a militia. It's called the Anti-Balaka movement. And it's, in essence, it means anti-machete. And they have been, unfortunately, they've carried out numerous revenge attacks. And so the challenge that the French have, as well as the United Nations, is trying to get these two groups to lay down the arms and to begin to talk to each other.
All right, George Thomas, our senior international correspondent. Thank you for your time, George.
You're welcome, sir.
Wendy.
All right, thanks, guys. 22 years of war between North and South Sudan ended when Southerners gained independence back in July of 2011. But fighting in disputed areas of Sudan has continued. A prominent Sudanese bishop was in Washington last week asking Americans to help alleviate the suffering. John Wagi has more.
Khartoum is attempting to control and Islamize non-Arabs by waging jihad on regions like Sudan's Nuba Mountains. Makram Gassis, the bishop of Sudan's El Obeid diocese, says Christians and others in the Nubas are still suffering at the hands of the Islamist regime.
Now they are on the cross in a special way because bombing is daily. Khartoum government sealed all the entries to the Nuba Mountains, so no food, no medicine, no fuel, no nothing.
Children who have seen their villages destroyed, their parents murdered and killed, sisters, mothers raped, and also little girls raped as well. It's just brutal war against them. They're trying to drive them out and commit jihad force them to become Muslims. They say, no, we will not.
Not far from the Nuba Mountains, near the border between Sudan and South Sudan, is the disputed region of Abyei. A recent referendum was held and the people of Abyei voted to join South Sudan, something Sudan has rejected in the past.
Khartoum government in the north wants to Islamize them and drive them out of that area. And they're real resilient, they're tough people, and they've been fighting this regime now for probably 2.5 decades.
Khartoum is finding it difficult to give up Abyei because Abyei is floating on oil.
And the people of the Nubas and Abyei aren't the only ones under attack. Christians still residing in Khartoum and elsewhere in the north are experiencing persecution.
Southerners now are not looked up after favorably. They tell them, you are foreigners, you are unwanted here, why don't you go back to your country? There is pressure not to get any more personnel, missionary personnel from the outside. We don't have any more the possibilities of building churches anymore now in northern Sudan.
Call your senators, call your congressmen, call the president, State Department, let them know how you feel about the people there and that something needs to be done to put more pressure on Sudan to stop this brutal war on the people there.
John Waggy, CBN News.
Gay marriage is now illegal again in all of Australia. The country's Supreme Court issued that decision Wednesday. One Australian territory had legalized gay marriage, but the national government challenged that law because the Federal Marriage Act there defines marriage as between a man and a woman. The Supreme Court agreed with the national government and said the issue of marriage is a matter for the national parliament.
In the Ukraine, a popular uprising is shaking the pro-Russian president and his government. Last month, President Viktor Yanukovych was slated to sign an agreement creating closer ties with the European Union. But after a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, the Ukrainian leader backed down, saying he would join a Russian-backed economic alliance instead. That sparked massive protests in Kiev as hundreds of thousands filled the city center. They want to break free of the historic tie to Russia and its domination of Ukraine. They see stronger connections with the West as the way forward to economic, political, and religious freedom. Evangelical churches are taking part, and they've set up a 24-hour prayer tent in Freedom Square. CBN News spoke with two pastors there.
We just would like to ask all churches around the world, please pray with us. Please stay with us in the gap for Ukraine. We need your help. We need God's protection. We need love because we're just one step from blood.
It is very important that people came here not just for political reason. We understand it's more for spiritual reason. Either it will go closer to the countries, Western countries that experienced Reformation and that know the impact of the gospel on their political and social life, or it will go back to the time of communism and even Russian Tsarism, where there was lawlessness, where there was either atheism or the situation where people only by their lips would speak about God, but would not very often have it in their hearts.
You can really sense the urgency in those prayer requests. Well, security forces have tried to break up the protests but failed. Today, U.S. advisors in the country said Yanukovych intends to sign the agreement with the European Union.
Here at home, Christian radio broadcaster James Dobson is suing the government over the contraception mandate in the president's health care law. The lawsuit says the requirement to provide the morning after pill and other emergency contraception is as part of its health insurance coverage violates the ministry's religious beliefs. More than 60 lawsuits are challenging the same requirement.
And coming up, Houston, we have a problem. A look at technical issues facing the International Space Station.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
A problem on the International Space Station has NASA scrambling. It has to do with the space station's cooling system. And as Caitlin Burke reports, engineers have been working around the clock to find a solution.
It's being called a potentially serious problem, a coolant system glitch that resulted in all non-critical systems on the International Space Station to be powered down.
The heat control is a very important aspect of the station. The temperature, it's not just the temperature for the astronauts, it's so that the instruments don't overheat, the electronics and the power systems don't get damaged, which could then jeopardize the whole station.
NASA says the 6 astronauts living on the space station are not currently in danger. But engineers still aren't sure what's causing the problem. Officials say it's either a software glitch or it involves hardware.
Any problem when you're in space is a critical problem, but I wouldn't say that it was expected, but it's planned for. So that's why they have spares, it's why they monitor everything.
If it's software, an upgrade could be the fix. But if it's hardware, an emergency spacewalk may be necessary. And that poses another problem. NASA suspended spacewalks in July after astronaut Luca Parmitano nearly drowned when water mysteriously filled his helmet.
My head is really wet, and I have a feeling that it's increasing.
Mission Control has already shut down 3 sections of the space station. Worst case scenario, if the cooling system can't be fixed, NASA would consider evacuating the space station completely. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
The United States isn't the only country that's been blanketed by snow already this year. The city of Jerusalem was treated to a rare early snow today. Most public transportation had stopped and the main highway into Jerusalem was shut down. Schools were closed in Jerusalem and elsewhere throughout the country, giving many people in the city the opportunity to enjoy the winter wonderland. Jerusalem usually gets snow once every few years, but the Holy City has seen snow for the last 3 winters in a row. Weathermen say it's not over yet. The stormy weather is expected to last through Saturday.
Yeah, some beautiful scenes there. Up next, not a beautiful scene, why divorce could be costing taxpayers more.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Well, we know that divorce takes a terrible toll on families, and it also does serious damage in other ways.
It puts more people on welfare and even drives up the crime rate.
So as Paul Strand explains in tonight's Focus Report, some people are trying to stop this damage by attacking divorce head on.
Surviving one divorce drove Brooke Wilson to ensure it would never happen to her or her daughters again.
You think, oh, I love him so much, and then after the first 6 months, everybody gets comfortable and everybody becomes themselves.
She got help from her pastor and a program called Marriage Savers that he felt could guarantee Brooke and her new man, James, would never divorce.
The people who've gone through this program, 97, 98% of those who'd gotten married were still married after a number of years, and that caught my attention.
We definitely need some training before we get married, I think. It's just like a job.
There's a lot of things there that we probably wouldn't really talked about or thought about unless we'd gotten that training.
This fall, Mike McManus, the man behind Marriage Savers, came to Kentucky with an unprecedented plan: blitz the entire state and enlist its pastors to battle divorce like never before. It certainly needs the help.
Kentucky has the third highest divorce rate in the United States.
About 65 out of 100 marriages go belly up here.
We have just let marriage slide as an American culture.
Kent Ostrander, a pro-family leader, pushed McManus to do the Kentucky Blitz.
We believe that the church can turn it around if the pastors, in fact, will roll up their sleeves and make marriage a priority within each congregation.
McManus brought proof that if Kentucky's churches pledge to only marry couples who get premarital counseling and offer mentors to young, struggling couples, they could significantly cut the divorce rate.
Divorce has become so commonplace that most people accept it as just a fact of life. But the research shows, with just a few practical steps, almost any marriage can be made into a permanent one.
McManus's own church proved by training and mentoring its own people the method works.
Of the 230 couples who did marry, we only know of 16 divorces. So that's better than a 90% success rate. That's marriage insurance.
David and Penny Hudson have helped marriages for decades.
And we've done together about 140 couples, and so we have some experience at this, and we have seen nothing but good, positive things come from it.
Penny Hudson says older folks in the pews need to step up and guide the younger ones.
Those who have been married a while, who have gone through some experiences and can help these couples, walk beside them, pray with them, support them.
You're investing in their life for eternity because you will have the opportunity to help them with struggles and lead them back to Christ. You're not always going to be there. You know, after a while, they're going to stop coming to us, but Christ is always going to be there for them.
As mentors, you will be so blessed by this, and it's an outreach opportunity. It's a different way to disciple couples. It's a different way to even evangelize.
McManus trained Pastor Gutenson several years ago on intense premarital counseling and mentoring. It virtually divorce-proofed the 24 engaged couples in Gutenson's care after.
Best of my knowledge, none of those that we've married since we've been doing this program have gotten a divorce. And every couple that comes, I said the best gift that you're going to give each other is to come through this counseling.
And Brooke and James know the mentors are a great resource.
They've been there, done that. And so they can kind of help push you along into the right path.
McManus says the successful, stable marriages that result don't just benefit the couples, but their whole community and state. Workers in the middle of divorce tend to be less productive, so a community with a high divorce rate is less attractive to businesses. But one that can drive down divorce?
It becomes a more attractive place for companies to invest because they're going to have less problems with their employees than they would in some other city.
McManus points out children of divorce commit more crime. So if a community's divorce rate goes down, its crime rate can drop as well. Finally, divorce often drives the ex-wives and kids into poverty, and they end up on welfare. In Kentucky alone, 24,000 new divorces a year cost state taxpayers a fortune.
Each year, it adds $600 million of cost to the taxpayer.
So fewer divorces mean huge savings for taxpayers. Churches need to realize that divorce hurts their entire state. So maybe it's time for them to all get together and fight statewide for lasting marriages. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from Lexington, Kentucky.
Thanks, Paul. Great story. Up next, see the incredible amount of trees one man has fit into his home this Christmas season.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Christmas decorations are lighting up homes all over, as you know.
But one Indiana man has decorated the inside of his home much more than probably any of us ever will, Mark. Brandon Smith has 86 Christmas trees in his house. So many, in fact, he doesn't even need to use his home's heating system. The thousands of beautiful Christmas tree lights keep the Smith house at about 85 balmy degrees.
It's an obsession. 8 more trees this year than last year. Lots of different types of lights from different states that you can't find really around here.
Wow, I'm still in shock. 86 trees. Brandon says the public is welcome to tour the holiday display in his house absolutely free.
He must have one big house.
Let's pray the house does not burn down. Okay, that's a lot of lights.
Amen to that.
But God bless him. It's beautiful.
Well, that's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.